Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
BrainShare Business Mentors proudly presents BrainShare.us, the ultimate business education platform, delivering the proven systems, processes, tools, and knowledge that empower you to build the business of your dreams. With 13 high-powered courses encompassing over 240 lessons accessed online on your schedule. Running a business is the hardest thing you'll ever do. We've helped thousands of business owners gain the leadership, communication, and business skills needed to build the business of their dreams. We can help you. Choose your learning path. Scuba Squad is the premier membership program for today's business leaders with access to all BrainShare material and double our money-back guarantee. BrainShare Basics, the ultimate business framework course, a hard-hitting 13-week program to lay the necessary foundation to build the business of your dreams. Or take individual courses as you need them. Every course has dozens of lessons, with video, practical exercises, precise documentation, and the opportunity for direct feedback from a BrainShare mentor. All programs have our exclusive 30-day money-back guarantee. No questions asked, don't wait. Choose your path and start today.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. Doing business and life with a purpose. Serving others, yes, achieving success as well. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. Not the world. I know you hear a lot of people say, hey, I want to impact the world, which I love, but let's start with your world and let that expand. And as you're listening to my absolutely incredible guest today, I want you to think how you're going to serve today and what impact you're going to create today with that service. With that being said, I want to thank my two sponsors, BrainShare.us, drive business success and sustainability with BrainShare Business Mentors, where your business flourishes and your vision comes to life. Check out the link in the show notes. And then pitchdb.com. Imagine being a guest on 3 million different podcasts or speaking at over 11,000 conferences and many, many more opportunities. This gives you opportunity to build your thought leader platform with incredible opportunities to show who you really are. With that being said, as I always say, I'm big on impact. This is my brother from another mother. Yes, I said that because we both have servant's heart, and it's through connection and building relationships. Alan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I was so excited about doing this podcast. It's been on my mind for weeks and weeks and weeks ever since we spoke months ago.
Hey, we've been talking, and it's great going back and forth and getting this all set up. But let's start with this, because I mentor businesses all the time talking about building relationships and connecting. What do you think is the benefit you derive from being a connector?
That's the $1 billion question. First of all, I don't think I know how not to be one. I think from a very early age, I've just naturally wanted to be the person who knew the person who you needed to know. And I worked in public relations for a long time, which was all about how big your Rolodex was, right? When we had Rolodexes, you kids out there, it was a filing system with paper. But as I have evolved, I didn't realize what a great business skill it is to just be able to be that person who can serve your clients by being able to connect them to that resource, that person, that attorney, that whomever it is that's going to help make their lives better. For me, there's before you're even finished telling me what's going on in your life, I'm already thinking of the 5 people I know who can help you solve that problem, or, as I said, make your life easier. So it just brings me, to use a Yiddish expression, nachas, which means joy. It's just a great feeling uh, of of being of service, as as is in the name of your show, and I'd be dishonest to say that it doesn't come back to me. It's been a big part of my brand to be that person who knows the person, but I never expect it of anyone. It's just that law of reciprocity, that karma, that just that energy of giving and receiving, and being open to giving and receiving, and I just find such an immense joy in that, and it still to this day kind of surprises me that people just don't do that naturally. I think I put a Facebook post out the other day about, what would the world be like if every time you heard somebody express that compelling need or desire, you were able to connect them with that person or that resource that could help them. Like what a world, what a wonderful world that would be. And people were like, 50% were like, people don't do that, and the other 50% were like, oh, that sounds really hard. And to me, there's nothing hard about it. It actually makes life simpler, because I'll go into a networking venue and I'm not out there hunting for business for myself. I'm thinking about, like, hey, who would be a great guest for Steve? Who would be a good person for Steve to know? Or my friends going through a divorce, who are the divorce attorneys in the room that I can introduce her to. So it takes some of the anxiety out of being in a networking space, and inevitably people want to know what you do also. So it's just easy.
Well, the key word that you said there, I want to go over again, is skill, because this is a skill. It's a skill like SEO or using tech or whatever skill that you have. Being a plumber, I always use plumbers. I don't know why. Guess I should have been a plumber, but talk about that, because you did say something about, we think it's simple, me and you, but we developed it.
Yeah. Well, so I'm pretty strategic in how I go about connection. And obviously as a coach, as a speaking coach, as an executive coach, I'm trained to listen. And so those are skills that I've developed over time, how to listen between the lines of what people are asking for, and listening for values and all of that. But I do really take time to understand what people's goals are, what their interests are, what's a valuable deposit in that relationship account, how to nurture that relationship over time, how to be strategic in identifying who are those well, we call them golden geese, right? Who are those people who know the people who we want to meet, and who are super connectors themselves, because and so it takes skill to identify who those people are, and it means kissing a lot of not golden geese who are laying not golden eggs, because we don't want to invest too much time in connecting with people who have no real interest in being connectors. But with that said, there is skill in knowing when to fold, and when to move on. And there are a lot of people who need our help and who need our support and who need our networks. And so for us to spend too much time on people who really are a little bit selfish about giving, that's, I heard this great Ivan Meisner, who we both know. I read something he said the other day, or he was quoting someone about how when you go into a networking or connect working environment, you want to take off your bib and put on an apron. And I just love that idea, right? Because for bibs, it's all about like take, and an apron is about give. Although even with the apron on, you still get to sample some of your own cooking. So that is a great metaphor.
What's value add part of this whole connecting thing?
Value add for
When you're doing
for
the connecting, during the connection process.
so what is a valuable what's a valuable deposit in my account may not be a valuable deposit in your account. So we always want to think about, well, like, if you give me a bottle of vodka, that's not a valuable deposit in my account because I don't like vodka and I don't really drink, but introduce me to someone who wants to do a TED Talk because I can help coach them. That's a very valuable deposit in the relationship account, or an opportunity for me to speak in front of nonprofit leaders about storytelling. That's valuable. But I have to know the value add. The way that I add value into somebody else's life is by knowing what is important to them,
Yeah.
and then making appropriate deposits. Whether that is, it may be a referral, it may be introductions to boards that are looking for board members, it may be a great article, it may be, it will depend. And you don't know what's valuable to someone unless you lean in and listen and learn about what's going on in their lives.
I always say in my keynote speak, shut up and listen.
Shut up and
And you
listen.
said that so well. I mean, it's harsh, but it really is, because shut up means that and listen is that bridge, because you could shut up and never listen to the thing you just said and go, hey, that was great. You were just talking about Major League Baseball. No, he was talking about connecting. And that's where the disconnect happens, or the bridge doesn't get crossed.
Right.
And I love that you said that regards to connecting.
But when Steve, when two connectors meet and learn about each other, it's powerful, because they're tripping over each other, just figuring out how they can give to each other. And it fills one's heart to be in the space of somebody else who truly believes that we're here in this world, we're here on this earth to give and to be of service.
Amen. That's so, I love that. And here's a real-time connection. This just happened as we were talking. I'm in an audience. This is real time. What I do, and I know Alan does, you were talking, I'm listening. You said something about nonprofits. I've got a huge connection for you for nonprofits. I wrote the name down. That's what connecting is. I listened, I heard something, to me was nonprofit. That was the value that I heard, or the buzzword, like, and right away my network goes through. I got a couple, at least one person I connect you with. That's what we're talking about. But it's got to be practiced daily, doesn't it?
That's right. That's right. And I am, and as you know, when we've discussed this, I am so about storytelling, and when people share stories, they're often sharing what is their most compelling need and desire. And so I am all about extracting stories from people, because then in the listening, I get to really learn how I can serve that individual. They're telling me so much, and we just get out of the way and just listen. Just listen.
And that's the power of you with somebody who wants to do TEDx talk. You're just really telling stories, right?
Last night I showcased 5 speakers I've been working with over the past few months, and one was talking about her involvement in raising awareness for sex trafficking. The other was talking about a near-death experience, not being able to breathe, and how that got her into breath work. Another was talking about his experience coming to the States as a Cuban immigrant. How lucky am I? Every day I get to listen to these inspiring stories of people who want to share their stories to make the world a better place. And so, yes, and so whether I'm coaching somebody to be on the TEDx stage or to speak at a conference, it's all about storytelling. And our brains are wired for stories. We want to experience stories, and good storytelling is better than any PowerPoint presentation with facts and figures and statistics than I know. And so bring on the stories every day.
I love it. I love it. So some people are listening going, Alan, gosh, it sounds really good, but where the heck do I start?
where the hell do you start connecting, or where the hell do you
Connecting.
start
Let's connecting.
connecting? Well, I guess what I would say is start locally, think globally, right?
Nice.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, but joking aside, I mean, connection is an inside job. Ultimately, it starts with connecting with yourself, with understanding what your own drivers are, what your own purpose is, what your own values are. Work with a coach, work with a mentor, work with a priest or a rabbi to help get clarity around that, because that the key to being able to connect to others is to know yourself, and because then you can show up authentically and create authentic connections. I think sometimes we can find ourselves or get help finding ourselves through our connections with other people. But I think it starts first with a connection to ourselves, a connection to our sense of purpose, to our legacy, and then connecting to others, whether it starts first then with our partner, our spouse, our best friend. How much do we truly know about our best friends? Like how much depth do those relationships have? How vulnerable are we with those people in our lives with whom we want to have forged deeper connection? And how brave are we? How brave are we to take down the mask and reveal all of the parts of ourselves, not just that kind of curated, airbrushed version of ourselves.
The LinkedIn profile version or the social media profile version. Yeah, which is good, but it's not the authentic. So that's a great segue. Let's get authentic with you. Let's learn more about Alan. And what's interesting, you were in PR and you were super successful. Why didn't you stay in it?
Yeah, and if people do any digging on my website or whatever, or my TEDx talk, I speak about it. The pinnacle of my career was leading the team that launched the Harry Potter book publicity. So it was 20 some odd years ago. I was handed a book that people didn't know in the United States and was told to make it a bestseller. And amidst anxiety, fear, and horror, my team was successful in that. But achieving that pinnacle of success, it's kind of like, where do you go after that? And but I did realize at that time that I had a talent and an interest and love for developing teams and talent. And in fact, I kind of handed the reins over to my associate director, because she just had more of a love for the books and I knew that she'd do a great job. And so I kind of got out of the way. But from there, I was asked what I wanted to do next. And I moved into marketing for a bit, but that wasn't it. Then ultimately, I moved into a human resources role, was hiring a lot of coaches for my company, and thought to myself, hey, I can do that. I want to do that. And so I went out, got trained. This is 20 years ago, and then started my own business and haven't looked back since then. And truthfully, my experience in public relations and communications comes in so handily in what I do, because I've been writing speeches for 20 years, so I can help people write their speeches. As a performer in a prior life, I can help people on the stage. So I feel like every experience that we have in life just leads up to the moment that we're in. And and there's some magic in being able to create careers that tap into all those different experiences and talents and skills. So that's what I do today.
Yeah, I love. There's a lot of lessons in there. A couple of them are being a connector. I mean, how many would like that game-changing or life-changing opportunity like you had with the Harry Potter books? Financially good, but all the other things that leads to another network to help you grow where you are today, right?
That's right. And even today, I still have stayed in touch with people that I worked with 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I love LinkedIn and Facebook. It's not all evil. I do sometimes fall out of touch with people, but then I get back in touch with people, and people love to hear from me. So, and I love to hear from them.
Here's the other lesson I want you to talk about. It's so powerful to me was you could have stayed as a PR. It sounds like you were doing really well, but the most important thing is you wanted to love what you're doing. I don't want to speak for you, but what I heard was your passion was this, not being the PR. How important is that? Because people listening are going, hey, I'm working at Apple 8 to 5. Nothing wrong with Apple, by the way. You could be a sponsor if you want. But, and their passion maybe to start a florist shop or to be a business coach. Talk about that and why you made the change and how important it was.
Sure. I mean, I there have been moments in all of my careers where I've been unhappy, but I have never been more miserable than in some of my jobs in public relations, especially for a time I was doing human resources in a public relations firm, really toxic kind of culture, and frankly, I got quite sick. My depression and anxiety just hit a fevered pitch, and put on 50 pounds, and I was just unhappy, and as all that, and my spouse said, you have to get out of there, and so I did, and I reignited my business. But I think being in there are a lot of people out there who are in jobs that are truthfully making them sick. And I would say to those people, do whatever you can, challenge any limiting belief you have about what life could be like beyond the walls of those prisons. I realize some people maybe don't have choice or feel like they don't have choice, but I don't know. Life is short. I don't know that we have the luxury of staying in jobs that are soul-suckingly horrible. And I think also I can't say enough about how the right job can't really be a life force for you. And I've shared this story before, but I went into an early retirement about a year and a half ago. I thought I was sort of at the age where I should retire. My spouse was retiring, and I thought, well, okay. And at the same time, I started getting very, very sick with a chronic illness that I have, but it really was amplifying. And I said, if I get better from this, when I get better from this, I'm going to just go back to work, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to double down with a greater sense of purpose. I'm going to get out there helping people tell their stories, and I'm going to use this experience as a reminder that the universe wants us to be useful and to contribute. And I don't know, there's some universal force teaming up with a bunch of good pain specialists heard my voice, and so since then I've just been back at work, feeling better, and just making up for lost time, because I feel like we have gifts that need to be used and need to be shared. So
I love the gifts. I love that you said that. Oh my God. And what's amazing to me is it could have been very easy for you to stay at the PR. You'd be sick and not feeling good, but taking action, even though it's uncomfortable and scary, you knew you had to take action. I want people to hear that, because the people like you mentioned, and so God bless you for doing that feel stuck, eventually that action is going to be good. Like what happened, your story is a perfect example. Look, you're flourishing today. So
yeah, and I would say I'd probably be very rich had I stayed in public relations, and I'd probably be very, very unhappy and possibly quite sick. So I'm not quite sure that I wouldn't have died at a heart attack by the time I was 50 on the path that I was on. So I just don't. I think we need to look at all the different spokes of the wheel to determine what really is important. Is emotional well-being, where do we how much do we value emotional and physical well-being over financial success, whatever that looks like.
I hear this phrase, rich in money and poor in health is not a formula for success. And what's interesting is you're not homeless. You've got a home, you've got your spouse, you've got a partner, your life is good. It's not like you left there where you could have been mega wealthy. You're still, that's the point I love hearing from you. You're still successful, just at a different level.
Right. And I also am very, very aware and grateful that I have a spouse who was willing to support whatever insanity I wanted to pursue, like starting a coaching business in the midst of a financial crisis. But I think even if I didn't have it, I think I would have always prioritized my health and well-being first, because I have a support system of people who would have said, move to a smaller place, move back to your parents, like whatever, horrible idea that would have been at the time. But I think most of us do have options. We just don't necessarily see them when we're in the chasing that elusive dream.
Yeah, thank you. You just gave hope to a lot of people in this audience. So God bless you. We've run out of time here. This has gone way too fast. This has been incredible, but you've given us so much information and great ideas and hope and faith. Somebody wants to reach out to you. How can they find you, Alan?
Sure. So best way is really my website. It's alansamuelcohen.com, or Instagram, alansamuelcohen.com, or LinkedIn, alansamuelcohen.com. I'm trying to make it easy for everybody. Alan Samuel Cohen. We'll share some resources. I've got some great free resources for folks who are interested in becoming better storytellers, becoming better connectors, and more connected. And that's probably the best way to.
Yeah, and I'll put the free resource, the link in the show notes, audience, so you can have access to it. And when you say your name, I think of a law firm, but you're so much better. Not that law firms are bad, but the Alan Samuel Cohen light, I love it. It's awesome. It's a good way for me to remember too.
I have to reclaim my middle name.
Yeah.
It's too good. It's a family. There's family history there.
It is really good. And we're at the end of time, but I do want to leave you a minute or two lasting thoughts you want to give the audience.
Wow. So going back to storytelling, I think I have a 95-year-old dad, and who is one of the best storytellers I know. Although I will say that he does repeat his stories a lot, as most elderly people do, but they're good, and they always keep me on the front of my seat. But I think that sharing our stories, hearing stories, having our elderly people share their stories, documenting them, writing them down, I think it's so important. Our stories are our culture. To quote Hamilton, the song in Hamilton, "Who lives, who dies, who tells your story?" I want to tell my story. I want to live a life that where others will tell that story, and I would be proud to hear it. So keep telling stories, sharing stories, listening to stories, and stories help us create the legacy that we want out there in the world. So that's what I got.
So well said. What a way to end the show, Alan. Thank you again. God bless for what you're doing. And Alan gave you so much. My notepad is full, but use the podcast platform. It's got a forward and reverse button. Us older guys like me remember VHS tapes where you could push a button. Well, it's the same thing on the software. Go to your YouTube. If you watch this on YouTube, or if you go to a podcast platform, if it's 5 or 6 minutes is changing your life, me and Alan will be so blessed. We'd love for you to watch and listen to the whole show. But if you find parts of this that really is going to help you and help you grow, jump on that, stay with it. We'd be happy. I have a TV show every Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. And Doing Business with Servant's Heart can now be on your chest, on your head. We've got hats, we've got hoodies, we've got all kinds of ways to share that wonderful message of doing business with a servant's heart. And as always, me and Alan, thank you so much for watching and listening. And we look forward to seeing you at the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. You all have a great day.